Hi, it's Lisa back again. Today we're going to create a card using the chicken stamps and to be using the stencils to make a fun background. I've used the happy birthday wording, the chicken stamp, the fun backgrounds, the butterfly stamp. We're going to use the dotty stencil, and we're going to use the circle stencil as well. Okay, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use my Make Art Station to create the background. I'm going to use some glacier ice. Just by placing a bit of the glacier ice onto your mixed media mat, or whether you've got a plastic plate, something sort of easy to access it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to place the stencil basically halfway onto my cardstock. Using the magnets, I'm going to place the magnets down just to keep that nice and firm. I'm going to use a sponge. I'm going to pick up the paint and get rid of the excess of the sponge. You don't want your paint being too wet on the sponge. I'm just going to tap that paint all over the stencil. So remember to tap your paint and then sort of tap that excess off. Just making sure you get in every little section. You can't really see the blue at the moment, but once the stencil's pulled away, it is a really nice soft colour. And by having the magnets holding down the stencil, it just makes it from like not slipping all the time. What makes it stop from slipping. So I'm just making sure I get into all those certain areas. And when you're happy with that result, you can then take that off, take the magnets off, and then you've got a beautiful soft background of blue. The next stencil I'm going to use is a polka dot stencil, and I'm going to use a cerise. So once again, just a bit of paint down on your mixed media mat. You're going to use your sponge once again, so it's just tapping the paint. Before I do that, I'm going to put those magnets down once again to hold that into position. And you're just going to randomly put some pink dots over your card topper. Now I've used this as a card. You could even cut this down and use it as a tag to put in your scrapbooking. So I'm just going around putting some nice pink dots. And I think that might be enough. So take your magnet off. Then you've got some nice ones. If you find that you need a bit more pink on it, you can go ahead and just place it, tap it into the pink again, and just put a couple more pinks onto the page. Okay, your next step, what we're going to do, we're just going to get one of the stamps, which is actually from this set here. It's just like a signature scribble. What I'm going to do with the archival ink, I'm just going to curve the stamp and tap it into the ink. And I'm just randomly placing that in certain areas onto my printed image. Now I usually like to do it in an odd number, so I've basically got 5 there. What I'm going to do next, I've got the dots, which is actually on that same stamp set. I'm just going to stamp some dots down the bottom. I'm going to stamp some dots at the top. Okay. With your piece of cardstock, you're then going to grab like a sponge or a dauber and I'm just going around the edges and I'm just marking that with black just to finish off those edges. Okay, so you've just got a real subtle black going around the edges of that piece of cardstock. So place that to the side for the moment. What we're going to do next, we're going to stamp the butterfly and we're going to stamp the chicken. So when you use your stamping platform, you always make sure, because we are going to re-stamp over this butterfly, it's always making sure that that cardstock doesn't move. So what I tend to do, I line my cardstock up into the corner, I place my stamp onto the cardstock, and we're going to stamp the chicken as well. So I'm stamping that there, like in that position. So pulling the lid down, that's basically grabbing to the stamp. Then we need to ink those two images. Just making sure that your stamped image is inked up. And then you're just going to press firmly down onto those two images. The good thing about the stamping platform, if you find that you've missed a piece or it's not dark enough, you can go back and you can stamp again to give you a crisper finish. So I'm just going straight back over that stamp, and because that cardstock hasn't moved, I can't muck my image up. Okay. I'm going to leave the butterfly into the stamping platform. What I want to do now, I'm going to put a real soft pink wash over the butterfly. So with a cerise, once again, I'm going to add a little bit of water to my brush because I don't want it too dark and you don't want it too wet either. Okay. So I'm just going to start painting over that butterfly. Just with some nice long strokes. And once again, just leave it aside to dry for the moment. The chicken we're going to take out. Now you can colour these with pencils, you can colour them with Copics, you can colour them with Tombow pens. I've actually used the Prismacolor pencils. Now I have not learnt how to use these correctly, but I'm just going to basically colour in just using like a colouring in pencil style. So just bear with me for a second while I start colouring this in. But as I said, you can use any colouring tool that you have got. Just sometimes I find that these Prismacolor pencils do pop really nicely. I've had a lot of people purchase the chicken stamps and ask me to do a card, so hopefully you will enjoy this fun little card today. The main thing with the Prisma pencils as well is not going too hard with them, because you can get like a sort of waxy look on them and real sort of shiny. Okay, I'm just using a different pink just to highlight some areas. They're a bit cute, the chicken stamps. Okay, I'm just going to colour the little giblets and the eyebrows. As I said, you could spend a lot of time on these colouring. I'm just doing it nice and quick just to show you an idea with them. The colour of the legs, I'm going to do the soft pink as well. You could do it in any colour combination that you've got or that you want. Okay, I'm just going to press dark or press firmly to give it a nice dark blue on the outside. It's always making sure too your pencil is nice and sharp. I'm going to go onto the little arm parts, but I'm going to do that softer. Now, saves me cutting this out. I've actually prepared one earlier so that I don't cut off his little legs. So you can just see how quickly you can colour them in with pencils or your crayons or your Tombow textures or your Copic pens. It's just completely up to you. Now you can use a white Posca pen or the Uniball Signo pen as well. What I've done, I've just placed a little white dot in the middle of the flowers and just on this part here as well. But you just need to let that dry before you start cutting out. So that's your little chicken. So as I said, I've already pre-cut one out. It just saves you watching me cut the legs off. Okay, so I'll put that aside for the moment. Come back to the butterfly. What we're going to do, we're going to use our white pen again, so that we haven't moved this at all. We're just going to go around the little circles with the white. So once again, be careful that you don't actually smudge this. Now we're going to colour in this white section here. We're going to colour in the blank section white, I should say. You can do the butterfly just by itself without using the chicken. I just sort of thought it might have been a little bit of fun just to add the wings to the chicken. Now normally I would give this time to dry before I re-stamp and cut out. But unfortunately, I don't think you want to wait for that to dry. Okay, we'll just add a little bit around here. And we won't worry about colouring that in too much because the chicken is actually going to cover that over. Okay, so basically because this piece of cardstock hasn't moved, we're going to re-stamp that image. So once again with the archival ink, just ink your stamper. And then we're going to come directly back onto that butterfly and that will just make it pop a lot more. Okay, because we haven't sort of gone over the edges onto the black, the white looks really nice and crisp. So we're going to cut this out at the moment. Now once again, it's being careful because it is still wet. I am going to cut off the little antennas. I don't need those on this card. So just carefully go around and cut your image out. Trouble is, I like to get my image a little bit closer to me, but I can't take it away from the video so you can see what I'm doing. Sometimes I find if it is wet, I get a piece of cardstock and I'll just hold it over that image so that I'm not touching it with my fingers and making it a bit tacky. So just do that once again, like bring it around so that you've got more control of your butterfly. Now I do use a Paper Artsy cardstock. I find that the heavy weight really keeps your butterflies or any pictures that you cut out nice and firm. Sometimes you can use a lighter weight, but I tend to use a heavier weight for some reason. Okay, I'm nearly there. Okay, so you've got now a nice, pretty butterfly cut out. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to add the chicken to it. So using some foam dots, I'm just going to place, which I'd already placed on there, but I want it to come up a little bit higher, so I'm putting 2 dots onto the back of the chicken and just cover that area with your foam dots. Okay, so once you can then position your butterfly, so I'm having it so his little head sticks up a little bit over the wings, and then you've got a cute little chicken with big butterfly wings. So to place it on your cardstock, I would tend to just use your art glitter glue or any glue that you've got. Now we're going to stick his little feet down, so just carefully put a little bit of glue, you don't need a lot. And then on the wings, and I'm not covering it right to the edges, just so that the wings can actually be a little bit free. Place your chicken down to the bottom of the card. Okay, so you've got a nice cool background happening. What I'm going to do next, we're going to use the greetings stamp. So on this stamp, it's got happy birthday, hip hip hooray, and many happy returns. So once again, you're just going to place your card into your stamping platform. Just line your stamp up, pull your platform down. That's now attached to the stamp. Ink it up and then press firmly. And once again, if you've missed a little bit there, I'm not going to use it, but if you have missed a little bit, re-ink your stamp and go back down with your stamp. And I've missed it for some other reason, I don't know what I've done there. Okay, so what we need to do next, we're going to trim down our words. So I've already trimmed that down. And just snip the end off. A couple of foam dots. And I'm going to place that to the top of the card in its middle section. Then you'll use like a white card base. Just a bit of glue or double-sided tape onto the back of your stamped image and background. I'm going to leave a nice little black border. And then once again, press that down firm. You're going to then glue your black onto your white card. So just a nice, quick, fun card just to show you a background using your stencils and using different mixed coloured paints. I hope that you've enjoyed the class. Thanks.